My name is Linda. I'm 25 years old and I work the night security shift at Glenglow Amusement Park. It's an old, nearly forgotten park at the edge of a forest, just outside town. Most nights are quiet, a little too quiet. When the rides are closed and the lights are turned off, all I can hear is creaking metal, accompanied by rustling wind. But every now and then, I believe I hear the carousel music start up by itself. It doesn't last long, yet it sends shivers down my spine. I've had weird nights before, sure. Drunk teenagers sneaking in, raccoons setting off motion sensors, and even a homeless guy once slept inside the house of mirrors. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what happened last Tuesday. It was around 2:15 a.m. I was on my second round. I had a flashlight, a walkie, and my phone. The air felt colder than usual, and there was a strange coppery smell, like rust. I tried to ignore it. I passed the empty food court, the arcade building, and the spinning teacups. Everything was dead silent, like usual. But when I reached the haunted house ride, I saw someone crouching in the dark. In the shadows by the mechanical shed, someone was close to the side of the ride. I thought it was the older night watchman, Derek. He's the only other human in that park besides me. But as I took a few steps closer, I realized I didn't know this man. He was crouched down, doing something. I heard a soft groaning, not from a man, but from the ground beneath him. It sounded like someone was in pain. I called out.
Hello? Who's there?
The man didn't answer. He stayed crouched, like an animal over its prey. My hand tightened around my flashlight as I approached slowly. Suddenly, I stepped on a twig and made a loud crack. The man turned around. I stopped. His face, it was pale and stretched. He had this sick grin with too many teeth to count. His eyes were black pits and pale white eyeballs. He reminded me of the character Babadook. Once he saw me, he stood up and tilted his head sharply, like a crow eyeing something already dead. He didn't say a word. He just looked at the sky, then back to the ground behind him, and sprinted straight into the thick bushes beside the ride. I stood there, covered in sweat and dread, not knowing what to do next. My instincts screamed at me to run the other way, but I couldn't. I had to know what or who he was crouched over. So I took a step forward. I could see a trail of blood flowing along the ground. As I got closer, I found Derek lying on his side, shaking, eyes half open. His lips were gone, just cut off, leaving behind a mess of bloody gums and exposed teeth. His face was wet with blood. I could see deep slashes across his chest, arms, and even fingers, like someone had taken a scalpel to his skin, cutting him just enough to make him bleed everywhere but not die instantly. I dropped to my knees.
Oh my God! Derek?
He couldn't talk, just wheezed, trembled, and stared at me with eyes full of panic. I fumbled for my phone and called the cops with shaking hands. My voice cracked as I told them everything I saw. Then I held Derek's hand and whispered,
You'll be okay. Just stay with me. Help is coming.
My eyes wandered to every dark corner of the park as I sat beside him. I didn't want to leave him alone, even for a second. Every sound made me flinch. The rustling trees, the creaking rides, the wind whistling through the gates. I kept thinking he was going to come back, and how would I protect myself and wounded Derek if he did? But fortunately, he didn't. The cops arrived within 10 minutes. I waved them down with my flashlight. When they saw Derek, they called for medics immediately. 3 officers stayed behind to investigate the park. They split up, flashlights in hand, moving fast but cautiously. I couldn't hear much from their radios, but I did hear one thing. They found him. The man was hiding in the park's underground maintenance tunnels, a series of old access halls running beneath the rides. Most of us never went down there. He was curled up near a pile of blankets and old candy wrappers, surrounded by stolen park food, children's toys, and worse, what looked like blood-stained tools and bits of hair. The police cuffed him, but he had no fear in his eyes. Instead, he began narrating a creepy children's rhyme like a psychotic person. Tiptoe Tim with his hollow eyes creeps at night when the robin cries. One by one he counts your toes, whispers secrets no one knows. Hide your dolls and lock the door. He drags his feet across the floor. Smile too wide and skin so thin. Don't let little Tim come in. One officer later told me he was a missing patient from a mental asylum 3 towns away. He'd escaped 2 weeks earlier. Somehow he'd slipped into the park unnoticed, using the tunnels to move around. No one knew he was there. He must have been watching us for days. The scariest part? He could have done to me what he did to Derek. If I had arrived just a few minutes earlier, or if I'd gotten too close too fast, maybe he would have slashed my face open as well. Derek survived, barely. He spent a week in the hospital and needed reconstructive surgery. I quit that job 2 days later. Now I work at a retail store during daylight hours. No more night shifts, no more empty parks. And if I ever hear carousel music again, I walk the other way. It happened during the summer vacation of my teen years. I was 13 years old back then. My best friend Josh and I planned a trip to the newly opened water park one weekend. We had saved up chore money, packed snacks, and listed every ride we wanted to hit. When we reached the water park, the sun was shining brighter than ever, and the park was filled with people. I could hear kids laughing and water splashing everywhere. The slides looked huge. Music was playing, and the air smelled like sunscreen. We looked at each other, smiled, and ran straight toward the wave pool. After spending some time there, we decided to go for the Vortex, the park's tallest slide, a bright red spiral that twisted 4 stories high. The line was long, and the summer heat was getting ruthless. We were sweating and irritated when we finally made it to the top platform. Just when I thought the wait was finally over, we saw this man. He looked about 40, overweight, wearing an old, faded tank top that clung to his bulging tummy. He stood at the edge of the slide, looking down in fear. His arms were stiff at his sides, and his back was rising and falling with shaky breaths. He was muttering to himself, "You can do this. Trust me. Just trust me." "What's this guy doing? Is he scared or something?" Josh whispered, nudging me. "Just jump, dude!" I yelled in annoyance. The lifeguard was too busy looking at her phone to notice. The line behind us started backing up. Kids groaned, telling the man to hurry up. Josh and I, being stupid kids, started mocking him and calling him names, but he still didn't move an inch. At that moment, we became quite frustrated and ultimately decided to push the man. He slipped, screaming and throwing his arms in the air. As he vanished down the slide, Josh exploded in laughter, but the scream echoed in my ears. Deep down, I felt that what we did was wrong. Without wasting any more time, we went down right after him. When we got to the bottom, I expected to see the man. However, he wasn't there. Josh and I looked at each other. Maybe he'd gotten out and left quickly or gone to the restroom. We brushed it off. The rest of the day continued to be fun. More water rides, pepperoni pizza, and ice cream. We went all out. Once the sun set and the park was almost closing, we went to the changing room. The washroom was old and had a bleachy smell. The lights overhead flickered. I was halfway into my dry clothes when I heard Josh. "Yo, what the hell?" I turned. The man was standing by the exit. He was soaked to the bone. My eyes went straight to his head. Blood was dripping slowly from a gash on his forehead, trailing down his cheek and into his mouth. "You two think that was funny? Huh?" Josh and I looked at each other. Neither of us moved. "You pushed me, mocked me, treated me like some scum. You think that was funny?" He lunged before I could react, his hand wrapped around my throat, pinning me against the wall. Bringing his face close to mine, he started poking the wound on his forehead with his own finger. I started screaming. He dug into his own flesh, which made him bleed 10 times more. But he was laughing. As if he felt no pain at all. He poked and poked until I could see his white skull underneath the raw flesh. It was horrifying to watch the guy behave like a maniac. His palm was drenched in blood, and he stopped for a second. He looked me in the eye. "I should break your neck right now," he growled. "But that'd be too easy." I tried to kick, scratch, anything, but he was too strong. Suddenly, he placed his bloody palm on my forehead and started drawing some symbol with his blood while chanting an unknown language. I kept screaming and pleading for help. Josh bolted. Within a few seconds, park security burst in. It took 3 men to pull the guy off me. He smeared his blood all over my face and neck. The metallic stench burned my nostrils. I fell to the floor, gasping and coughing for air. The man didn't fight them. He just let the security guys drag him while staring at me. But before disappearing from our sight, he screamed one last time. "I'll find you both, and I'll get my revenge! I swear I'll be back!" The police were called and they informed our parents. I had to give a statement, so did Josh. They told us the guy had a minor concussion from the slide but refused medical help. Apparently, he'd been acting strange at the park entrance earlier. No one pressed charges because technically we had pushed him, which led to his threat. But I know that wasn't just a threat, it was a promise. That night, I didn't sleep. For weeks, I couldn't shower without checking behind the curtain 5 times. Every knock at the door made me jump. I stopped going out for a while. Josh acted tough, like it didn't bother him. But I noticed how he flinched when someone stood behind him in public spaces. It's been 5 years. I haven't seen that man again. But sometimes I get this feeling, like I'm being watched, like someone's behind me at the grocery store, just out of view. I've never stepped foot in any amusement park after that incident. People say I'm paranoid. Maybe I am, but the fear never left. Because I know he meant what he said. Someday he's going to find us again. And this time, I don't think anyone will be there to stop him. I used to think that love meant fights, jealousy, and saying sorry all the time. Looking back, I wasn't in love. Rather, I was stuck, clinging to someone who simply adored my weakness. His name was Gerald. He was my first real love. At first, he was too charming, always sending me sweet texts, but things changed quickly. He became needy and bossy all of a sudden. He started showing up outside of my house at night, sitting across the street in his car. I broke it off when he screamed at me in the school cafeteria, accusing me of cheating in front of everyone. After that, I blocked him and changed my number. He didn't take it well, which brings us to the night at the amusement park. It was a Friday in early summer. My best friend Kathy convinced me to get out and enjoy myself for once. We arrived at around 6 p.m. Funky music surrounded the park. Lights flashed from every corner, followed by people laughing and screaming. It was the kind of evening that made you feel like you would be a kid again for a little while. For the first few hours, I had the best time. We went on roller coasters and laughed until our stomachs hurt. Then we ate ice cream, and Kathy pointed at the Ferris wheel. I was noticing how high it was when I saw a familiar face right under it. Gerald was standing in the queue ahead of us, staring right at me, not blinking, just waiting. Seeing my face drowning in dread, Kathy followed my eyes.
No freaking way. Didn't your mom say he got a warning from the school?
He did.
I said, my voice shaking.
I don't know what he's doing here.
Before we could back away, he walked towards us. His face was pale and his eyes were wide, surrounded by dark circles like he hadn't slept for days. You said you loved me once. That means a part of you still does, whether you admit it or not. Kathy stepped in front of me, telling him to back off, but Gerald wasn't hearing it. He looked past her, straight at me. You think you could just throw me away like trash after everything I did for you?
You did nothing but make my life hell. Leave me alone.
I grabbed Kathy's hand and rushed forward. I decided it was time to stand my ground. No more running away. The Ferris wheel operator looked confused, but we shoved our way into the next available cart before Gerald could stop us. We rose slowly, the cart creaking as the wheel spun higher. I tried to steady my breathing, gripping the metal bar in front of us. Kathy squeezed my shoulder.
You did the right thing. I'm so proud of you. I think he'll leave now.
But she was wrong. Halfway up, maybe 60 feet in the air, our cart suddenly jolted and stopped. We both screamed, and another jolt shook the car. The entire thing rocked violently, like someone had pushed it.
What the hell?
Kathy cried. I looked down, and it was Gerald. He was climbing the metal frame of the Ferris wheel like a rabid monkey, saliva dripping from his mouth, eyes bloodshot with rage. His bare hands gripped the rusted beams so tightly they bled. His shirt was torn, and his hair was wild from the wind, but somehow, impossibly, he was hauling himself up. He was right under our cart. Take me back, Megan! Take me back! I'll forgive you! We banged on the sides of the cart, yelling for help. Below, the ride operator finally noticed. I could see people pointing, some running. I could hear the operators panicking about not being able to restart the ride. Gerald was still climbing. He was only inches away now, one hand reaching up toward the bottom of our cart. Blood streamed from his fingers, dripping onto his face, making him look even more haunting. You're mine, Megan, he whispered, still smiling. You owe me. It was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. The way he said it. Not angry, not even loud, just certain, like he truly believed I belonged to him.
Stop it, please! Just leave me alone!
His smile changed into a snarl. So you won't say yes? How about now? He suddenly let go with one hand. He was hanging from the wheel, clutching the metal rod with only one hand. I screamed, thinking he would fall at any moment. This is how much I love you. I can risk my life for you. See, I'm letting it go. Do you want me to die for you? Because I will.
Somebody get us down! Do something!
I was screaming and crying, but Gerald enjoyed my misery. He kept shifting from one hand to the other, barely managing to stay on the wheel. It was horrifying to watch his life hanging by a thread. Finally, security reached him. One guard climbed partway up from the other side. Another used a long pole to strike at Gerald's feet. He slipped, dangling for a second, then crashed onto the safety net below. They tackled him and cuffed him. They escorted us off the ride. Kathy was shaking and I couldn't stop crying. I kept looking behind me, expecting him to get up and chase me again. We gave statements. The police charged him with trespassing, harassment, and endangerment. I filed for a restraining order the next day. It was later discovered that Gerald had deliberately sabotaged the ride so he could climb and traumatize us. The look on his face that night wasn't just obsession, it was certainty. He truly believed I was his. I still get nightmares where I see Gerald gripping the metal rod with one hand, dangling from that height. His burning eyes pierce my soul, screaming, "Take me back, Megan! You have to take me back!"